got the memory full on one of them.
Memory full.
Yeah, I don't know if that hurts or you all right? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Just want to make sure you're good on that.
Brian, I have a couple of things on the topic of setting the edge. One, has there been anyone who you think has consistently done that well defensively? And then also, I never asked you this a couple of weeks ago, but was Ledbetter healthy enough to be considered when you chose Van Ginkel to come back as a second designated guy, or was he simply not going to be healthy to play this year?
Well, we only had one more spot there, so we basically had to choose, and we chose a guy who we felt was, healthiest. So that was Ginkel. The first part of the question was the edge setting. So we've had a couple guys who have become more consistent, I would say, over the course of the season. Vince Beagle's a guy who comes to mind. Charles Harris has been more consistent, but again, with that, with as many edge plays as there are in this league, from crack toss plays to stretch plays to speed sweeps, etc. It's something that's you can be consistent for a while, and then all of a sudden you don't have the correct awareness on a crack play, and then you're inconsistent. So I think it's something that we spend a lot of time on. It's a point of emphasis on a weekly basis. It certainly will be that this week with these backs, this offensive line, this skill group, and hopefully we can do a good job and be consistent this week.
You put so much emphasis on Bobby in terms of the guy who leads that secondary, the communication guy. How do you replace that in terms of what you lose?
Well, I would say it's just not just Bobby. We that's an emphasis, and communication is an emphasis really at all positions every week, specifically in the secondary. So it's Bobby, it's Jamal Wiltz, it's Eric, it's Parker, it's the Nick, it's whoever really playing in the secondary and really throughout the entire defense. So I think other guys are gonna have to step up. I think as you get to know your team, there's guys who are more vocal than others. Bobby was certainly that. We're going to need guys to step up for him physically and from a leadership and vocal standpoint. So I think it's something we talked about with those the players who are going to step in for Bobby, and hopefully we get that this week.
With Jamal, you had serve as the backup during training camp. Obviously, he's in an important role as a nickel, and then he also plays some safety. What makes him a good fit for that kind of role?
Well, he's smart, he's tough, he tackles. He understands what we're trying to do from a leverage standpoint. He knows where his help is. Is it inside with a backer? Is it outside with a safety? Is it over the top with a safety? He can communicate. And I think he's good for the players around him. From you just mentioned the vocal and the communication piece. I think he's going to have to take a step up in that from that standpoint. But I think he does a lot of good things well. I think he's definitely improved over the course of the season, from training camp to preseason to game one to how he's played the last few weeks. And that's the improvement we're looking to see at each position. He's shown that, and hopefully we just stay on that course. And we'll need it. That's for certain. That's for sure, I should say. We'll need it, especially with the injuries we have in the secondary.
Safety role, typically the player you want to be the vocal guy in the secondary?
In my opinion, yes. So free safety, or really safeties in general. I think that position, you're basically in the middle of the defense. You're talking linebackers, you're talking corners, you're in the box. I shouldn't say not necessarily free safety, but at times. And so you want that, that position to be have some leadership qualities, and they have to talk to the players around them. And so yeah, I think it's a leadership position. And that's something we stress to that group, really the entire group, but that group in particular. They're literally talking to linebackers, talking to corners, talking to ends, within any defense, that's just the case. And the quiet guys are or the guys who aren't as vocal. At some point, offensively, they're going to put you in a position where they force you to talk, and if you don't, then they'll take advantage. So I do think that's a prime position for leadership, communication, someone who's vocal. Not every player is that. So if that's not the case, then you just got to work around it at times. But yeah, I think it's an important position.
A lot of moving parts in the secondary now, but where do you see Colbert fitting your recent pickup? What kind of skills does he bring to the?
Yeah, Adrian. Obviously he got here yesterday, or really 2 days ago. Spent a lot of time with him defensively and in the kicking game, just trying to get him up to speed. Like you said, you got to see what's out there. But yeah, we definitely have some injuries, and we're gonna have to, I don't want to say piece some of this together, but we're gonna play with some new sets of players in the secondary. I think Adrian may be a part of that. Just depends on how practice goes today. I think we hit on some of the early down stuff yesterday. Today's, in the next couple of days will be more situational. Again, more volume, more communication. How much can a guy handle with 1 week of prep? We've done it before in other weeks, and we'll see if maybe he can carve out a role for himself.
With Walsh, he's been here. He's always been a special teams player. Yeah. He really hasn't had that many opportunities to play on defense. You mentioned him earlier this season as Rashad's backup. Would playing him on defense negate or impact your special teams unit?
Well, I think you all know that the kicking game is very important to me, and I think it's a phase of the game where that's just as important as offense or defense. I think you can, if you win that phase, you got a good shot of winning the game, in my opinion. So Walt's obviously an integral part to our kicking game. He's our captain. And he's a good player, and he's been productive. He made a big play last week. I think he split two, made a play, that forced a backed up situation, which, get a stop there, punt it. We're in good field position. There's a whole field position part of the game that I think a lot of hidden yardage there I think is very important. We try to stress that to the team, and Walt's done a good job there. Again, defensively, when he gets his opportunities, I think he's gone in there and done a good job. And we may see him. We may see him out there.
Is there an overlying message that you want your DBs to keep in mind going up against Odell and Jarvis Landry this week?
Yeah, there's a lot of messages. Well, obviously, they're two of the top receivers in the league. But I don't want this game to be about those two guys in particular, because then you lose sight of Chubb and you lose sight of Hunt and you lose sight of Njoku and you lose sight of. There's a lot going on here. So, let's read our keys. Let's play with our technique and fundamentals. Let's try to tackle these guys. They're tough to tackle. There's no doubt about that. I think everybody in the room knows that. I think everybody who watches football understands that. It's a tough test. So, it's a big challenge for not just our secondary but our entire team. This is a talented group. I think everybody knows that.
Obviously, you've watched the film of the Browns. How do you explain what has happened to their team, considering the amount of talent that they have?
Look, my focus is on the group we're going to see this week. I think anyone could see it's a very talented team, and that's what we're preparing for. And we're preparing for their best, and they've shown that, and they've, this is it's gonna be a tough group to try to contain, to be honest with you. So I can't speak to what's going on. The only thing I can speak to is what I see on film, and what I see is a lot of good players and a good scheme, and that's what we're preparing for.
Where do things stand regarding left tackle for this week?
Well, Julian. He got dinged last week. He was able to practice yesterday, to a degree. Obviously, Jamarcus Webb has, started, the majority of the games for us there. We'll see. I think we got to play the group that we feel is the best group, like I've said week after week. But their health is a part of that, and that plays a role. So we'll try to get the best group we feel we can from a health standpoint, from a production standpoint, and it could be it could be another guy, because we'll just see how this thing, this turns out. If an injury doesn't allow us to play those two, then we need a backup. So all those things are in play, and we'll have 5 guys out there, the best 5 guys we feel, the best 5 guys.
Just a final question that, obviously that's another unit that has a lot of moving parts. How do you gauge the chemistry on that unit and how it can stay consistent?
I think that chemistry is built over the course of the season. I think we had, you think back to, where we were in week, 2 or 3, where we were in week 6 or 7. You can kind of see chemistry build. And then, there's ebbs and flows to every season, every game. And I think there is good chemistry, regardless of who goes in there. I think Guj has done a good job of from a communication standpoint, knowing what to do, getting things organized. I think from that standpoint, we have good chemistry. Now it's about execution. It's about putting that together on a more consistent basis, and that's what we've been emphasizing this week. And really, that's at all positions, not just the O-line. But I like the guys we have there. They work hard. It's important to them. They bring great effort and intensity on a daily basis, and we just need to be more consistent. Thank you.